Good morning. This is Expulse AI Morning Mix. I'm Iris, and today is Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. We've got a monster markets meets AI story, a model access shakeup around Anthropic and OpenAI, and Meta doing some quick product damage control. Orion's here with me. Ready?
Ready, let's move.
We're leading with SpaceX, public markets, and then a huge AI acquisition. What happened?
Times of India reported on July 14th that SpaceX completed a public listing valuing it around $1,770 billion, raising roughly $75 billion, then confirmed intent to acquire Anysphere, the company behind Cursor, for about $60 billion.
$60 billion for an AI coding tool is not subtle. Why Cursor?
Cursor sits right in the critical path of engineering output. If SpaceX believes software velocity is a strategic weapon across rockets, satellites, autonomy, manufacturing, owning the developer cockpit is like owning the factory's control panel. Also, it's a way to internalize AI talent and model routing decisions.
Does this change the broader AI market beyond the headline shock?
It signals that AI applications with real usage can command mega deals, not just model labs. It also pressures other giants to lock in distribution, IDEs, code hosts, and workflow tools. And yes, some M&A bankers just woke up and chose violence.
Staying on competitive churn, Anthropic and OpenAI are jostling again and regulators are in the middle. Walk us through it.
Forbes reported on July 13th that Anthropic expanded access again to Claude Fable 5 for subscribers following OpenAI's release of a new chat GPT model called Sol. At the same time, U.S. authorities reportedly blocked Anthropic's planned debut of its Mythos models.
So users get more Fable time, but Mythos doesn't launch. How is Anthropic handling demand?
They're offering extended access for subscribers, and if you burn through it, you can keep using Fable by buying usage credits. It's basically, we'll keep the lights on, just bring more tokens. It also hints that availability is becoming a product lever, not just a technical constraint.
And the Mythos block, what should listeners infer from that?
That model rollouts are now gated by policy, in addition to compute and safety. Even if the technical work is ready, the can we ship question can hinge on regulators' interpretation, especially around capabilities, data, and deployment posture.
Meta launched an Instagram AI image feature and then yanked it almost immediately. What triggered the reversal?
MacRumors reported on July 13th that Meta removed a new Instagram feature that used public posts and reels to generate AI images after widespread criticism about privacy and consent. Meta pulled it late Friday while it rethinks the approach.
Is this just bad messaging or a real product design problem?
It's both. Creators heard, your content trains a feature you didn't ask for, and the consent story wasn't clean. Product-wise, generating images from people's posts is inherently sensitive: faces, minors, location context. The bar for defaults and opt-outs is much higher than it's public anyway.
What do you expect Meta to change if it brings it back?
More explicit permissioning, clearer provenance controls, and probably a tighter boundary on what content can be used, maybe only opted-in accounts or licensed libraries. Otherwise, it becomes a trust tax that's hard to repay.
Anthropic is also talking infrastructure, 30 billion Australian dollars, if policy goes their way. What's the condition?
The Australian Financial Review reported on July 13th that Anthropic told Australian officials it's planned a 30 billion Australian dollar data center investment depends on clarity around copyright rules for training data. This came ahead of Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's landmark AI policy speech.
How does copyright policy end up controlling data center spend?
Because the economics of training and serving models hinge on legal risk. If training data rules stay ambiguous, you can build billions in compute and still face lawsuits or restrictions that limit what you can deploy. So firms are treating policy as part of the infrastructure stack.
Is this pressure tactic or a genuinely hard requirement?
Likely both. It's negotiation, gives certainty and will bring jobs and compute, but it's also rational planning. When legal exposure is undefined, the cost of capital effectively rises, and big build-outs get delayed or rerouted.
Meta's also doubling down on compute. What's the latest on Hyperion in Louisiana?
International Business Times reported on July 13th that Meta plans to expand its Hyperion data center project in rural Louisiana, pushing the investment to more than $50 billion. The goal is to support growing compute demand for large models and AI services across Meta's products.
What does 50 billion plus translate to in practical terms for the AI race?
It's an industrial scale bet that inference and training demand will keep compounding. It also signals that the winners may be the companies that can reliably source power, land, and grid connections, not just the ones with the best benchmark chart.
Any risks Meta has to manage with these mega buildouts?
Permitting, power availability, community pushback, and utilization risk, building too far ahead of demand. But Meta seems to be choosing overbuild now, monetize later, which is a very on-brand Silicon Valley sentence.
Let's hit regulation in the U.S. The Federal Trade Commission is clarifying how it views AI under Section 5. What did they put out?
Mundak reported on July 13th that the FTC issued a proposed policy statement explaining how Section 5 of the FTC Act applies to AI systems. It also raises questions like whether companies can be liable for altering AI outputs to comply with state laws or goals beyond accuracy.
What should companies do between now and the comment deadline?
The comment period runs through July 31st. Companies should map where they're tuning outputs for compliance, brand safety, or monetization, document decision logic, and make sure marketing claims match actual behavior. The biggest risk is promising neutrality while quietly steering outcomes.
Does this change product roadmaps or just legal review checklists?
Both. Legal will demand stronger audit trails, and product teams may build more transparent controls, user-visible settings, disclosure, logging, because enforcement risk is becoming a core design constraint, not an afterthought.
Before we go, a few quick hits across money, messes, and margins. Orion, start us off with the funding pulse.
Memburn reported on July 12th that AI startup revenue growth hit a record pace in the first half of 2026, alongside a surge in venture funding. And Fierce Healthcare reported on July 13th that digital health funding rebounded to $7.4 billion in the first half, with AI helping drive 20 mega deals.
Meanwhile, there's a spicy Apple versus OpenAI headline floating around. How solid is it?
A newsletter called Humanity Redefined reported on July 12th that Apple sued OpenAI for alleged trade secret theft tied to former Apple employees, over 400 according to the claim. Details are limited in that reporting, so treat it as unresolved until court filings or major outlets confirm.
On the Meta front, advertisers are also complaining. And in Europe, there's an accounting startup. What's going on there?
Business Insider reported on July 13th that brands say Meta's AI ad tools are causing distorted images, gibberish text, and incorrect products, plus surprise feature toggles. And Tech Funding News reported on July 14th that Munich-based Skalar raised 12 million euros for an AI native tax and accounting firm.
Skalar, quickly, what does AI native accounting firm actually mean in practice?
Instead of selling software to accountants, they're building the service itself around automation, ingestion, categorization, drafting filings, and human review as exception handling. The pitch is faster turnaround and fewer staff hours, which matters with ongoing accounting labor shortages.
Last beat, costs. Models are getting cheaper to run, and even loans are getting GPU flavored.
Tweaktown reported on July 13th that OpenAI, Meta, and xAI are pushing token-efficient models, intensifying price competition for enterprise buyers. And Cryptonomist reported on July 14th that GMI Cloud is pursuing a $635 million multi-tranche loan collateralized by GPUs, signaling a new financing model for compute buildouts.
That's XPulse AI Morning Mix from XPulse for Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. Share it with someone who'd find it useful. See you next time.